So Sam and I want to start doing random videos periodically of meal prepping and grocery shopping. So we just got back from Trader Joe's and Target, and I actually picked up these 3 bins in the dollar section. They were $3 each at Target. And I'm going to start just when I refrigerate things, just kind of do them by meal so that it's easy. But I'm actually prepping all this today. We tend to meal prep on Sundays or when Sam has a day off, and just heat up the meals during the week since we don't have very much time when we get home. So this is not all the food we bought, but this is a lot of it, and this is what I'm going to be prepping today. So I have snacks, salad, and then our 2 entrees for the week. And since I'm pregnant and nauseous, I've been trying to do more things that sound good to me normally, like salads have actually been sounding good to me lately. And then I thought soups would help since they have a lot of good nutrition, but also are easy on the texture and stuff and probably won't gross me out as easily. So at Trader Joe's is where we got pretty much all this. So I got some nice sprouted wheat bread for if I'm craving some toast or something in the mornings when it's hard to pick something to eat. And I got, for snacks, I've been craving hummus and some pita chips that are lower calories. So whenever I want just a little snack, I can have pita chips and hummus. And then I will show you the salads I'm making, but here's everything I'm going to put in. So we love the flavor of chicken thighs, but I don't like having to deal with the bones. So we love these Trader Joe's boneless chicken thighs, and they're a good price and very flavorful. So I'm going to boil those until they're shreddable and then put those in my salads. We're going to be using this for both one of our soups and for my salad, Swiss and Gruyere shredded cheese. So I'm going to put that in the salad one too. I'm going to make a homemade ranch, like a lower calorie ranch with some Greek yogurt and dill and olive oil and Parmesan and stuff like that. So I'll show you that. Here's the dill weed. I like to put pinto beans in for more protein and to make my salads more filling. I love onion, so I'm going to put some onion in there. I also love red pepper, so I'm going to just chop those up. Put some red pepper in there. Shredded carrots, and then a mixture of spinach and just some mixed greens for my salad. And I will show you how I portion those out so that they are still flavorful and not like all gross and nasty by the time I get to Friday. One of the soups I'm making is a vegetarian minestrone. Typically my mom makes minestrone that I love and she puts ham in it, but I just found a recipe with no ham and I thought it would just be easier to just dump everything in and not have to worry about cooking ham. So I got a zucchini and a yellow squash, which isn't in the recipe, but I just thought I'd add more, make it a little more hearty. Some chicken stock, low sodium, an onion, and instead of small pasta, they didn't have anything, so I'm going with tortellini. It's not as healthy, but it'll be really good, and hopefully I won't feel grossed out by that. And then we needed some Great Northern beans, some diced tomatoes, and then this was not from Trader Joe's, but I forgot to buy one of the beans they called for, and we just had garbanzo beans, so I'm going to add those. And then spinach, and instead of buying celery and carrots for just the 2 soups, which really I only need like 1 or 2 stalks of celery and 1 or 2 carrots, I just bought this instead. Sam does this a lot at work, makes these mixtures, so he said this will be really good and more affordable and easier than chopping everything up and having a bunch of stuff left over that we would be wasting. So that's everything for the minestrone soup. And then the other soup, I love butternut squash apple soup. And obviously it's not fall yet, but we were able to find these cut up butternut squash. So we went with that. And then chicken stock for this as well. So I guess these aren't necessarily vegetarian, but they're close. And then that Swiss and Gruyere cheese instead of smoked cheddar. I thought that would taste really good with it. We have an apple, some heavy cream, some apple juice we had left over, and that's it. So pretty simple, pretty cheap for all this stuff and healthy, and hopefully it will last a week and I will be able to eat it all. So for starting my salads, I'm just boiling the chicken thighs. I'm going to cover them and check them about every half an hour and just poke at them and see if they'll fall apart. And once they fall apart, they will be done. But I don't mix them in with the salad, so I can still put together the salads while this cooks and then package this separately. While the chicken is cooking, I'm going to start by making my homemade ranch, and I'm doing this first because when I put them together I put the dressing in first, and I'll show you why. And the ingredients for this, and I will post the link to the recipe below, is olive oil, dill weed, dried dill weed, some plain Greek yogurt, a small clove of garlic, a couple tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, which we only have like half a tablespoon, but that's okay, and then just some salt and pepper to taste. And I'm going to start just by mixing the yogurt, garlic, and spices in our Ninja. And since I am into budgeting and buying things for cheap, we actually got this Ninja from one of San's, from his boss at work. San's a chef at a hotel for banquets and weddings, so we end up getting used kitchen items once in a while, so we got that for $50, which is about half off of the retail price, which is pretty cool. So it's always fun to like buy stuff from people you know who aren't using their stuff that you might want to use. So here's the homemade ranch. I know it's kind of hard to see. I'm actually going to add a little bit of the heavy cream we bought for one of the soups. Since we have extra, just a little splash of it to make it a little less thick and to add a little bit more creamy texture. I want it to be healthy, but I also want it to taste good, so I'll actually be motivated to eat my salad. So I'm just going to add that, but it tastes really good so far. So now I'm ready to start composing all the ingredients for the salad into my mason jars. And I use these wide mouth, pretty tall ones. I don't know the exact ounces in each one, but I like these because you can easily put everything in without getting it all over the sides, and when you're ready to eat the salad, you just pour it out and it comes out really easily. And there definitely is a method to the madness of putting everything in. You start with the dressing because it's more runny and you don't want it to get all your greens soggy. And then I do carrots and vegetables that, like, if they got a little soggy, it probably wouldn't matter. So carrots, red peppers that I just chopped, and onion. And then I take a big handful of spinach and the mixed greens, and I'll show you how big of a handful. You can fit a lot. And then I put cheese at the very top because you don't want that to get all like gooey and nasty. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting my ranch in. I'm not measuring. I'm not really counting calories. I'm down a couple pounds since I'm 13 weeks right now, so I'm not really worried about that. But I mean, this is homemade. It's really the only thing with a lot of calories in it is the oil, so I just start with that. Nothing has to be perfect. Then I add the pinto beans. I like these to make it more hearty and filling and to add protein. And I will be adding chicken when that's done cooking, but I'm not going to add it into these jars. Okay, and then I add my shredded carrots because those don't get gross if they mix with the dressing. And I like to add a lot since almost everything is really healthy. Then my red peppers. And my onions. Okay, and then you take a huge, like a pretty big handful. It's like a pretty big handful, and you just smush it down, and it doesn't get soggy and it doesn't get weird. And then a big handful, because these are the really healthy part. And see how there's still a little pocket left? And then I just take a little handful of cheese. Oops, to add flavor. And then you just smush it all down. And then you add top and your lid. And since you're not actually canning anything with these, you can just wash these and reuse. They'll still seal really well. And then you can keep them in the fridge up to, I would say, 5 days, and they're still super fresh, just like the first day you made them. Okay, so the chicken is now done cooking. It took about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's shredded actually really easy. This chicken thighs we think shred a lot easier than chicken breast, probably because there's a little bit more fat in them. And then I added some salt and pepper and just used my tongs to mix it up and to shred it right in the container. And then so what I'm going to do every day is grab my salad, my beautiful salad, and then just in a little plastic container I will just take out a fourth of this and then put it in here and then put a lid on that and take it with me. And then I'll heat this up probably in a microwave safe bowl because I'm a nanny, so there's a kitchen I can use. And then pour this out into the bowl and pour the nice warm chicken on top and mix it all up, and I'm ready to go. And if you are really watching calories, this is probably a little bit more calories than you would want in a salad with the chicken and the amount of dressing I use and the cheese and the beans even. But since I'm pregnant and I want a couple hundred more calories a day, and I'm not really watching it because I haven't been gaining weight yet, and I probably should start gaining a little bit of weight here and there, I just really want to focus on the calories I'm eating being overall very healthy. And I need fats, and I need those fatty acids and protein and carbs and definitely greens. So I'm just trying to eat really colorful and healthy and not worry so much about having super low calories, because that would not be healthy. Now that the salads are done and the kitchen is cleaned up, I'm now going to start on the butternut squash soup with apple, and it's supposed to be smoked cheddar, but we're actually going to use a Swiss and Gruyere mix. And these are the ingredients I'll be using. So butternut squash already cut up, and that was for convenience and also because they didn't have any fresh butternut squash in the produce area, probably because it's out of season. Heavy whipping cream, extra virgin olive oil, some apple juice we already had. San used that last week for a meal. It calls for apple cider, but we're going to use apple juice. A low sodium chicken broth, we will use the whole thing. 1 apple cut up. Notice I didn't have to peel it because it's all going to be pureed. Some organic unsalted butter. The Swiss and Gruyere mix, and like I said, the recipe calls for a smoked cheddar, but we thought this would be a really good, I love Gruyere, and we thought it'd be a little bit more mild. But a great blend with the apple and the butternut squash. Some onion that was left over from chopping up for my salads, and I'm going to use a lot of that because we really like onion. And then some salt and some fresh ground pepper. I just finished sauteing the onion over medium-high heat for about 8 minutes until it's, you know, soft and golden. And now I'm going to be adding 3/4 of a cup of the apple juice or apple cider. And I'll be mixing that up and cooking that for about 3 minutes until it's syrupy. I let that cook about 5 minutes. I don't really know exactly. I would think syrupy would be a little thicker than this, but since we use apple juice instead of apple cider, that could be why. But it's all going to be pureed anyway, so I don't think it really matters. So now I'm going to be adding the butternut squash. And like I said, we're using this bagged version, which are 12 ounces, and the recipe called for a 1 3/4 pound of a butternut squash. And so we got 3 bags thinking that would be about equal, or it also said that would be equivalent to 5 1/4 cups for the recipe. So we're just hoping this will be enough, but either way I think it's going to be delicious. So we're going to add all 3 bags. And then I'm also going to add the chicken stock, and I'll add the other 2 bags off camera because it's kind of hard to pour it. And this is 4 cups of low sodium chicken broth that I'm pouring in. And then that's going to cook, I'll finish doing that off camera. That's going to cook about 40 minutes until the butternut squash gets really soft. So now the butternut squash, the onions, and the chicken stock, and the apple juice have all been cooking for about 30 minutes or simmering for 30 minutes. And they have about 10 more minutes to go. And the recipe calls for pureeing this mixture before adding the apple, so the apple will still be in chunks. But since I've been kind of getting more nauseous with like weird textures, I thought it'd be best to puree everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and cook the apples right now. So over medium heat, I'm just going to add 2 tablespoons of butter and melt that down and then cook the apple. And then I'm going to add it to this mixture and then puree it. So now I've cooked the apples until they're pretty tender since I'm going to puree them, and I added them to the mixture, and now I'm going to add in the heavy cream and stir it and then puree it. So I brought most of the soup mixture over here, and I did that by ladling in the soup into a measuring cup, into like a liquid measuring cup, and then pouring it in here in batches so that it wouldn't pour all over and burn me. And now I'm gonna start blending it and adding a little bit more each time. Here's what it looks like after blending it for about 30 seconds for the first batch, and now I'm gonna add the rest. I finished blending all of the soup and pureeing it for about a minute on high with all of the soup mixture in there, and it filled it up completely. And now supposedly the soup is done. I just tried it, but I think they want you to garnish it with the cheese, and I think it would taste better with the cheese mixed in. So I just brought the heat up on here, and it's already pretty hot. It got hot in the blender from mixing. And I'm gonna add a couple handfuls of the cheese and just let it stir in and incorporate with the rest of the soup. And here is the finished soup. It is very delicious, rich but still light, so it's not like too thick of a texture to gross me out. And it is beautiful and kind of reminds me of fall, which I don't want the summer to be over with, but I do love the fall, so it's a nice little nod to the coming season. Now I'm going to make the minestrone, so that both soups we will be eating throughout the week. So I'm making it now, but then just going to put it right into the fridge for us to eat throughout the week. And so the ingredients here are oregano, basil, thyme, parsley, some olive oil, diced tomatoes, white beans or great northern beans, garbanzo beans, although it actually calls for red kidney beans, but I forgot to buy those, chicken broth or vegetable broth, salt and pepper, spinach, celery, onion, and carrots, and I'm also using the leftover onion from the other soup and my salads. It calls for just a small pasta. We got tortellini. I'm adding red pepper and a yellow squash, even though it doesn't call for it, and then it also calls for zucchini and garlic. I'm starting by just sauteing all of the vegetables except the carrots, although I got some of the carrots in here because they were a mixture, together for about 5 minutes just to kind of make them a little tender before adding the broth and everything else. So now I added the spices, the broth, the tomatoes, the carrots, hot water, diced tomatoes, and the beans, and I'm going to bring it to a boil and then let it simmer for 20 minutes before adding the spinach and the pasta. Oh my goodness, this smells amazing. It just cooked for 20 minutes simmering with everything I last put in it, and now I just added the whole bag of spinach. After being married to a chef, a guy who went to culinary school, who does cooking all the time, I've learned, you know, measuring, it really isn't that big of a deal unless you're baking. So I don't really know how much 3 cups would be of spinach. It says 6 ounces in there, but I feel like obviously they don't want you to put in like 24 ounces of spinach because that's a ton. So I just put the whole bag in there, and then it only called for 1/3 of a cup of pasta, but I thought, why not add all the tortellini? We really like hearty soups, or like stoops as Rachel Ray calls them, and since I already added more vegetables than it called for, I thought, why not add more pasta, because then it will last longer. And this is a huge pot. It's just gonna last forever, and it's gonna be so delicious. I'm so excited. So this is gonna cook for another 20 minutes to let the spinach you know, kind of disintegrate and crumble, and then to let the pasta cook. And here is the final product of the minestrone with tortellini and a bunch of great vegetables and beans and spices and broth, and it just looks so good, and it's gonna keep us full for a long time. We might even have to freeze some, but I'm just so excited to have some soups that are hearty and delicious and filling and healthy without having like extreme flavors that would gross me out when I'm pregnant. So that was our meals for this week, our dinners and my lunches, and how we meal prep on Sundays. If you like this kind of video, Please let me know, like this video, and comment below and tell me what you liked about it and if you'd like this to be a regular series on our channel. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.